Howdy y'all, this is Redwolf. I want to talk a little bit about machetes today. I got a half-formed idea of what I want to do, but I haven't been out in a while, and more importantly, I hadn't cut all this stuff before, so we'll see how bad I can embarrass myself in public. But the primary premise I wanted to talk about is light versus heavy machetes. And there's a lot of arguments on what that might actually mean. But primarily, we're going to talk about balance, and we're going to talk about spine weight, thickness. So my number 1 and number 2 I got right here. Ontario, this is a 24 inch, 22 inch, whatever the big machete is. See on here. I really like Ontario. I don't know where my camera's at right there. This is going to be my primary big one. This is the one I use for a lot of my big chopping tasks. It is a monster. The balance is, yeah, camera right there. The balance is somewhere way out here. There we go. Got my range right. So the balance is somewhere way out here. It's a real hefty machete, but it hits. And for chopping, hacking type tasks, it might be better to say for chopping tasks, just sinking into a target, it's really good. Really fine edge. Here, I don't know where my sound's coming from on this particular thing. That'd be a good test for that. Really like those. I use that a lot. You can tell it's dirty. This is one of my newer ones. It's a Tramontina. I am a pretty big fan of Tramontinas. It's a lot lighter weight, a lot better balanced. This is the 18 inch. Bought this from Home Depot, I think. Yeah. This is the one I bought from Home Depot. It's got that little sheath, I think, came off the rack. I bought this one for the wood handle. I got a couple of plastic handle ones that I apparently forgot at the house to talk about. Let's see if I can get these matched up right here. I don't know how well. Yeah. There we go. You can probably see pretty well right there how much thicker the Ontario is than the Tramontina. And in practice, what you end up with, in my general opinion, these are really good for grass and vines and light stuff. These are really good for trees and saplings. I mean, wood carving, a lot of tasks like that. And I have a lot of debates with myself about preferences, one or the other. We talk about like some of the Bowie, pocket knife, bushcraft stuff, about right tools for the job. Am I going to do enough of this to justify carrying something? And so I kind of want to put a little bit of things through the test, just kind of walk through it. I tried several times to make this video, and I found that I just kind of got to do things organically and go from there. So first thing I've got here, there's a little hanging vine. It's just in camera right there, but I think it'll do pretty good. I'm going to try and whack it with this in practice. This one, when I want to, it stops. This one's got some over travel. You start swinging, it's got carry through. This one flicks. This one travels. This one whirls. And very different balance points on them. And sometimes it makes this one more dangerous for certain tasks, especially for chopping stuff. I'm gonna do some stuff on that later. Real close to the ground, you really got to watch your feet because you have less control on it. I will say that Ontario tends to do a little bit better job of actually grinding the point on the machete than Tramontina does. I've got some with the plastic handles, long and short, from Amazon, some knife places I bought stuff from. It can be a little hard to find in stock. I don't know why. But anyway, let's quit talking and get to cutting. See, this heavy stuff like this, I was hoping it would do that. It has enough resistance for the weight of this to catch. On some of the smaller stuff, a lot of times you end up tapping it a couple of times and it just ends up bouncing. Where with the lighter stuff, you get enough velocity on it that it just flicks through. That might be off camera now. I don't know if I got anything else hanging. Man, that's just got a real pretty sing to it though. Oh, didn't quite do. Man, she's just out of range. There we go. I'm getting it about 3/4 of the way through this thing. It's a really nice machete, and I found out the other day, I've been debating whether I like the wood handles or the plastic ones better. If you have smaller hands than me, the plastic one probably gives a little bit better grip, but the wood actually has texture when it's raining. I got in the middle of something, pissed off, and I didn't let the rain stop me. The same token here. Oh, still trying to get used to this new camera stand a little bit while I keep looking back and figuring out where everything's at. Let's see if y'all can see this. Oh. So I'm going to start off. I'm holding this over here out of the way. I don't know if it's necessarily a recommended technique, but I don't feel like stepping on it, and it's just something really useful you can do as you've gotten used to it. We got a limb. I don't think this is entirely dead. There's still a little bit of life left in at least this part of it. But on these bigger ends, it's got all this bounce, and a lot of times it takes me more wax, even though this is a bigger, harder hitting machete, to do this through a combination of making sure I've got control, and it just takes more resistance to get the most out of this. I mean, that first bite looked pretty good, and that's hitting pretty good in there. I mean, I've got, you know, a good 1/4 inch of hit in there, but I'm gonna come down here just a little bit. But with the lighter one, you know, still not perfect, but it's still biting better. Whoop. Hard if you want to do that. And you know, this kind of goes to show you, let's see how big that is. Man, I need to be able to just move things a little bit better. There's a limit after which some of this stuff cuts better, or it still helps to reposition. Now, could I have cut through that with a tomahawk? No. Out here, it's just not going to perform the same way. And it is an advantage of the machete over some of the other tool types. It's one of the reasons why I like buoys. A lot of stuff that you can do with a buoy, a machete will just do it better. Less handy, less good as a sidearm, it's more burdensome to carry as a sidearm. The origins of these as a tool, you know, machete is a large knife used for chopping and agricultural purposes. The originals are sometimes huge. The average is like 25 inches of blade out here. They get sometimes really long, sometimes really short. A lot of them are really heavy, like swords used to be built. They get a big thick bar of steel and then thin it out to something like this way out here. That's on my short list of some stuff I want to make. But one of the things I do like about it, they're just fun to play with, is delimbing. I got one over there. I'll show a branch in a little bit. Now getting down here, so these are the other end of that same limb. It's got a little bit of bounce in it still. on, don't embarrass me in public, guys. See, vines are so weird. This that poison ivy. It's either poison ivy or it's possumberry or something like that. Anyway, so I'm over here. You can see I got this. Still got some bounce to it. On this, go. I'll do this one second because it's more likely to destroy this because it's actually got some resistance that I can cut into. So. See, we got some pretty good chunks in there. I'm about halfway through it, a little bit more. And if I wasn't trying to get all this on camera, get a little bit better angle for it. That was 6/8 cuts. This big boy going. That broke that. Now that end's gone, it's bouncing a little bit more, which will affect performance slightly. Our partner situated there. But I could almost break that off after the same number of cuts. Just massive difference. The further down we go, I got a bigger log over here. I think I got this situated pretty centrally. I got this started. Or we can go further up. We can go further up. So, when you got something, so what Dave Canterbury would call an anvil, this is one of their other specialties. A lot of stuff that in the woods, a lot of times you'd have to get in there and saw small stuff, kindling type stuff that you take more time doing. You can just pop one of these up a lot like a hatchet and just hack into them. But larger stuff, this is where this size, it's not as good as an axe, don't get me wrong. If I was on a loan and I was regularly cutting up chunks like on the first bit over there, I would rather have this than an axe any day of the week. I'd rather have it more than a bowie too. Just, you've got more options, and I'll keep getting into that as we go. See how long it takes that to fall down. Okay, good. One of the advantages of the wide blade is, well, we might not be getting more depth of penetration into the log than the bowie would get. Whew, that's got some dry hardwood in there. We are getting talking about that edge getting warm. Ain't really hurting anything on it. Really like these little Tramontinas. I like Tramontina more than I like cold steel machetes. And unless something changes, I'll die on that hill. You can access more of the cutting area because of the longer blade. And I will say that, in my opinion, partially because of the mass of this big thing, that it has less shock going into the hands, particularly the pinky, than that one. Some of it might be because the grip fits me a little bit better, but I just think overall the mass of it really does help with the shock. Still just almost shaving sharp right here. Bet if I sharpened it up a little bit more. And you know, here's some Swamp Boy feather sticks right here. Go up to your nice log. Get you some chunks and shavings like that. That's top dog right there. So, This isn't quite what I wanted to work on. I'm gonna process this down a little bit so we can have something to talk about. First off, like we talked about, versus just chopping it easy over there, having something to chop into where you can make a little bit more, versus slice cuts into a specific area without losing everything into the bounce. It goes a lot easier. Now, one of the things that I like about machetes that you can do, so if you cut against these split out. So if you cut down it, it's real quick and easy. To just delimb these smaller sticks. I mean, you can hold these things out in midair like that if you got to. And this one doesn't have much of a choke up or Picasso type area. Something, I haven't sharpened this one. They tend to be sharper out here than they do right here at the bottom for some reason. But a lot of the task, like I said, a lot of stuff you can do with a buoy, you can do with a machete. A lot of the normal tasks, and that's the light one. The Ontario does have a choke up point right here. I mean, it makes it go from, I think the actual sharpened edge is about 18 inches. So this is pretty close to the normal length of a machete or a regular Ontario on the big one. And just makes these real nice. You get quite close enough. Makes these really smooth, pretty little cuts. I can come back in and trim that down if I wanted to. And you know, you get these, just those out in midair chops, if I got that on camera. But they're really smooth, really finished. This is kind of like a 1700s multi-tool. You know, I don't need pliers, but I need big stuff cut down. I need small stuff chopped up. It can do a little bit of everything. You know, they're still popular in all parts of the world. I like them right there. They're a good tool. I took one of these to the survival school with me. I used it more than any other tool, other than maybe the saw. And that was mostly because I was trying to figure out how they were teaching us to use the saw and see if it worked compared to how I would use this. And generally speaking, I found this to be much more, both quicker and more energy efficient. Let's just flip this camera up right here. I won't know until later whether this was a good video or not, but I've been wanting to talk about it for a while. I've got some stuff that I want to do, and I'm probably going to use the term light and heavy machete fairly regularly in some of the stuff I've got planned. And I hope this gave some good examples of kind of what I'm talking about and where I'm wanting to go. If y'all want a more in-depth review of any of these, or you want to see something specifically tried with them to either make the point a little bit more, or just something you want to see if you can do with machetes, or if I'm just the idiot that I think I am, hit me up in the comments. Y'all know where I'm at. I don't mind talking to y'all. I don't mind explaining everything. I don't mind continuing to learn a little bit as we go forward. That's my partner out there making a racket, looking for something to eat. So until next time, this is Redwolf signing off. Keep up the good fight.